Here's a list of the 20 best new and upcoming Metroidvanias to play this summer. A few are already out and currently on sale, and others are coming soon throughout July and August. And hopefully you'll be worthy of the secret. So let's get right to it. Number 1 is already out, and it's probably one of the most polished and technically impressive games on the list, which makes sense since it was built on Unreal Engine. Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree, is slow and heavy, and you will need to time your hits, manage stamina, and actually think during fights. There are 6 classes, different builds, and a bunch of magic tools to play with. The world is huge and full of stuff to explore, with over 60 quests and some really tough boss fights. It also looks amazing and sounds even better with an incredible orchestral soundtrack that is definitely a huge highlight. Now, if you like games that take their time and push back a little, you will probably love this game. And while most Metroidvanias lean toward quick movement and light attacks, this one's slower and more methodical, like if Dark Souls and Castlevania had a baby, with a map full of secrets, upgrades, new zones, and backtracking, and it makes you work hard for it. If you're tired of breeze-through combat and want something that actually tests you, Mandragora fills that gap. Number 2 is, I think, the flashiest game on the list, and it's been out for a few weeks, so you can already get it. Dragon is Dead leans way harder into combat than most Metroidvanias, with fast-paced combos, parries, and a combat loop that honestly feels more like a side-scrolling action roguelite mixed with Metroidvania mechanics. But it still sticks to the genre roots. You're exploring branching paths, finding secrets, unlocking new movements and magic abilities, and coming stronger to places that crushed you earlier. There's also a pretty deep build system, with gear, runes, and skills you can combine in all sorts of ways, which gives a nice layer of strategy and customization on top of the action. So if you're the kind of player who cares more about combat feel than slow burn world building, this one's gonna hit you hard. I'm going to be covering the game soon on the channel, so if you're interested to get my take on it, hit subscribe and the bell notification. So I got you 2 beautifully crafted and a bit more conventional Metroidvanias already, but I also have my fair share of weirder looking games, but funnily enough, they deliver some of the best gameplay we've had lately. And one of these strange games is my number 3, Pipistrello and the Cursed Yoyo. Yeah, I know. But don't skip this one, as you will definitely miss out. It's already overwhelmingly positive on Steam with close to 400 reviews, and just came out late May, so you can already grab the game or the demo. To be honest, I didn't expect much from this one at first, which might be what you're thinking too. But that was a big mistake on my part, because this is one of the most creative and enjoyable games on the list. You play as a little bat with a Cursed Yoyo as your only weapon, and somehow that one mechanic carries the whole experience. The combat and movement are fully tied to how you control the yo-yo, swinging it, bouncing it, using it to pull yourself through the map, and way more. It's super snappy, and because the whole system is built around one tool, the upgrades feel meaningful without being overwhelming. The level design is more linear than some other Metroidvanias, but the exploration still pays off, especially once you unlock more ways to move, all tied to your yo-yo, which is the key to unlock previously inaccessible areas. If you like Metroidvanias that keep things simple but super smart, this one's really easy to recommend. Now, I promised you it would get weird earlier, and I'm definitely not done with the number 4 on the list. Princess Pomu and the 5 Moons goes in a really weird direction, but I kinda love that about it. It's been out for a week now, and is already starting to have glowing user reviews on Steam. You play as Princess Pomu, hopping between 5 different moons, and each one has its own art style and tone. And it's not just a visual gimmick, as the way you explore and fight actually shifts too. It's a Metroidvania at its core, but it plays around with format more than most. 1 minute, you're solving puzzles in a cute, colorful world, and the next you're dealing with glitchy enemies in something way darker. The structure still follows what I love and want from a Metroidvania, like new tools that unlock new paths, secrets hidden behind clever ability use, but it wraps all of that in a really playful meta vibe. There's a demo available, and it's definitely something you want to check out. Even if you feel the theme or style doesn't fit perfectly what you're looking for, get a nice surprise. Alright, that's already 4 completely different takes on the genre. One's slow and heavy, one's all about intense action, one's weird and creative, and one's kind of unhinged. And number 5 is one of the most satisfying, and it's been out for a while, but you might have missed it. Rolling Star goes with a clean retro look, but don't let that fool you. This is a movement and combat heavy Metroidvania where you're constantly dashing, sliding, and launching through the map while destroying everything in your way. You unlock new moves pretty quickly, and they change how you think about each area. It follows the usual formula: explore, backtrack, and get stronger. But the pacing is quick and the level design keeps you moving. Combat is as much of the focus as is precision and figuring out how to flow through the world without slowing down. Okay, so number 6 bends the rules of this list a little bit, but hear me out. It's just a prologue for now, but it already plays like a full game and it's so good and different I couldn't pass it up. Fear the Time Loop is a third-person action game with Metroidvania-style progression, built around a looping world that resets every few minutes. You've got a gun, new abilities to unlock, and every run takes you deeper as you open shortcuts and pick up abilities that stick between loops. The design is gritty, and the game rewards you for learning patterns and using tools in smarter ways each time. It's 3D, but still hits the genre perfectly. Backtracking, upgrades, and that feeling of finally pushing past a spot that stopped you before. The full game comes later this year, but the Prologue already shows the idea works. It's already amazing to play in its own right, so definitely check it out in the next few weeks. Number 7 on the list takes place in the Egyptian Underworld, and it's way more focused on platforming than combat. Enough that it feels like you're playing a mix of Celeste and Spelunky. Bones Beneath mixes tough challenge rooms with an open map, so you're bouncing between tight, linear gauntlets and more freeform exploration. The controls are fast and clean. You unlock abilities like hovering, wall jumps, and air dashes, and they open up new paths across the map. It's got a cool setup too. You're using powers from ancient gods, and while there is combat, it's really the movement that makes this one stand out. It's not super long, but the level design looks polished and there's a ton of rooms to get through. If you like precision platformers but still want the Metroidvania feeling of unlocking new areas as you go, this one looks like a solid pick for later this summer. Number 8 dropped late in May and is one of the most visually appealing games on the list to me. Last Vanguard is a shooter platformer with full hand-drawn animation and the world's packed with war zones, runes, and strange allies to run into. The style is really quite unique, like a bleak World War I version of Cuphead, and it's awesome. There are 9 biomes, 28 boss fights, and 15 weapons to switch between, all with their own combat feel. You also unlock gear, helmets, and passive abilities that let you build your own playstyle. It still has that Metroidvania loop. Explore, upgrade, return stronger, but the combat here is fast and aggressive, and the boss variety is a real highlight. If you like action-first Metroidvanias that give you a bunch of tools to mess around with, this one is worth checking out. But if Last Vanguard wasn't frantic enough, and you want to have a blast of a time with big numbers, massive explosions, and screen-shaking madness, then number 9 is for you, and it's already available. Virtue's Heaven starts where most Metroidvanias end. You already have your full moveset from the beginning. Dash, double jump, wall slide, it's all there from the get-go. The combat is fast and aggressive, and everything you do, even your movement, can be used as an attack. Instead of slowly unlocking tools, you're hunting down bosses, collecting their heads to open new areas, and using their hearts for power-ups. You also absorb your friends' convictions to unlock custom power-ups, which makes your build feel more personal. It leans hard into expression, speed, and style, but it's also got a story about the end of the world baked into every corner. If you like Metroidvanias that skip the slow part and let you go wild from minute 1, this is probably the best game on the list for you. Okay, so we've covered shooters, platformers, cursed yo-yos, and full movesets out of the gate. And when I was building the list, I was like, this is gonna be a wild one. But do not think that I'm slowing down, because the next few games are amazing and different in their own way too. Next up is number 10, and it leans heavily into style, storytelling, and secrets more than anything else you've seen so far. Coral the Abyss drops you into the ruins of a failed space colony and lets you figure things out for yourself. You play as Coral, one of the last survivors on a wrecked alien planet, exploring what's left of your mothership while dodging weird, red-eyed creatures in the dark. There are no quest markers or objectives, you just explore, follow clues, and slowly piece together what happened. The map is vertical and interconnected, with a fast combat system and upgrades that lean into RPG-style progression. It's also got boss fights, tons of secrets, and a mood that's thick with mystery and tension. If you're into Metroidvanias that trust you to figure things out without hand-holding, this one looks like a strong pick. Number 11 is coming up on the 15th of July and aiming big. You're dropped onto an alien planet where dimensional rifts are tearing everything apart, and it's your job to seal them before the whole galaxy gets wrecked. Star Rift Saga mixes tight platforming and shooting with huge amounts of customization. You got dashes, flight, and quick weapon swapping, plus over 140 skill chips you can plug into a puzzle-style grid to shape your build. Exploration follows the usual genre structure, with upgrades opening new paths, hidden routes, and optional bosses. But I've made an effort to cut down on the grinding backtracking. When you go back, there's always something new to find. You also build up a home base by rescuing colonists, unlocking upgrades and shops as you go. If you want a big stat-heavy Metroidvania with tons of options and a more modern flow, this one looks like a strong game to sink hours on. Okay, so number 12 has probably the craziest crossover I've seen lately. Here's a question for you. What happens if you take a dark sci-fi Metroidvania and add Pac-Man to it? Shadow Labyrinth is basically that. You play as swordsman number 8, guided by a mysterious yellow orb named Puck, as you explore an alien planet full of war, runes, strange tech, and dangerous creatures. The combat is fast and fluid, and you're not just fighting to survive, you're actually consuming enemies to grow stronger, turning from prey into something way more dangerous. You unlock powers, upgrade your abilities, and build a combat style that fits how you want to play, and it uses the whole Pac-Man package and twists it so you can ride on opposite walls and much more. It's such an incredibly fun and weird premise, and I've been asking myself how the hell would someone come up with something like this. It sticks to the genre's roots with exploration and upgrades, but the whole predator-prey angle gives it a sharp twist. If you want something both familiar and weird in the best way, this one's out July 18. Now, number 13 is going to make a lot of people happy as it's blending Metroidvania, action platformer, and roguelike. Rusty Rangers goes for a colorful retro look, but it's packing modern mechanics underneath. You play as one of several rangers, each with their own combat style and abilities, and head into a world that keeps shifting and rewriting itself. The gameplay sticks to the basics: run, jump, and shoot, but the variety comes from the different characters you can play and the weird enemies you run into. There's a full story with quests, NPCs, and a central mystery around why the world keeps falling apart, and it's more action platformer than deep exploration, but there's still a strong Metroidvania vibe in how you gain skills and unlock new areas. If you're into tight movement, crisp pixel art, and games with personality, this one drops at the end of July. Okay, so most of the previous games on the list were combat heavy, but what if a Metroidvania had absolutely zero combat and focused entirely on movement? That's exactly what number 14 is. Aurelia is a pure exploration-based Metroidvania with close to no combat. It's all about movement, secrets, and piecing together a lost civilization. You unlock 6 different movement abilities, and the challenge comes from chaining them together to cross big platforming sections while managing your stamina. The world is made of 9 interconnected regions, and there's no clear path forward. You'll mark things on your map, find other ways around, and come back later when you've got what you need. The story isn't handed to you. Instead, you collect artifacts and work with a historian NPC to figure out what happened to the Aurelians, and your decisions shape how it ends. If you like Metroidvanias that focus on discovery, movement, and lore instead of combat, this one looks like a hidden gem, and I'm going to be covering it soon on the channel. And if no combat is a deal breaker, well then just check out number 15, which fully leans into it, so much so that it's considered a beat-em-up Metroidvania. Shattered Soul is a combat-heavy Metroidvania set in a brutal gothic world where everything wants you dead. You play as the Shattered One, a warrior with a fragmented soul, using a mix of weapons, powers, and mobility to survive. The combat is tough and technical, with boss fights that push you hard and enemies that punish button mashing. Exploration is non-linear, with a large map, environmental storytelling, and new skills that unlock paths and open up the world. There's a clear Souls-like influence in the atmosphere and challenge, but it still sticks to the core Metroidvania structure with upgrades, backtracking, and branching zones. If you like dark fantasy settings and difficult games that demand good timing and solid reflexes, this one definitely leans into that space. The game's release has been announced for this summer on Steam Search, and that's all we know for now, but I'm definitely wishlisting it. And if Shattered Soul is not enough, and you want insane frantic combat where you can't stop for even 1 second, I got number 16 for you, and it's already playable. Dragon Loop throws you into a 5-day time loop with a main character who's lost her memory and a mysterious floating companion named Oro. It's a Metroidvania where you're racing against time, unlocking new areas and using strange tools like Pufferfish and suction pots to fight, solve puzzles, and explore in unexpected ways. Bosses also just don't die. You actually turn them into collectible elves that can evolve and help in combat. Movement is fast and reactive, especially with Oro's dash, and the combat is built around chaining attacks, fast and precise movement, and quick decisions. The time loop system adds pressure but also opens up different paths as you revisit places with new knowledge and abilities. If you like Metroidvanias with high-speed, strange mechanics and a time-based twist, Dragon Loop is already out and doing something pretty different. So we are now close to ending the list, and I'm sure you get now why I said it would be wild. We have what's probably one of the most stacked Metroidvania summers ever. All fantastic games with vastly different twists, so there is no way to get bored this year. And number 7 doesn't break that stride with one of the most beautiful 2D worlds you've we've seen on the list yet, and an interesting mix of gameplay. The Siege and the Sandfox blends Metroidvania exploration with full-on stealth, all wrapped in absolutely gorgeous pixel art and smooth parkour-style movements. You play as a royal assassin framed through regicide and left to rot beneath a desert city. Your goal is to escape, uncover the truth, and stop a growing evil before it's too late. The world is one massive continuous map that connects the palace above, prisons, domes, and crumbling ruins below. Movement is key. You slide, wall jump, swing, and shimmy through the map while avoiding guards, triggering traps, and unlocking gear that opens up new paths. And it's not about brute force. Stealth really does matter. Enemies react to open doors and snuff torches, so planning and awareness really count. If you want a Metroidvania that leans into sneaking, world building, and stylish traversal, this one stands out a ton from all other games. The game is already out, and even if it had mixed reviews at launch due to a bunch of bugs, the recent reviews on Steam are incredibly positive. Before closing the list, I wanted to go weird as hell again, so buckle up because the next two games are definitely incredibly unique and a great take on the Metroidvania genre. Starting with number 18. The Shaman's Arc is set in a post-apocalyptic world inspired by nomadic Asian cultures, and it mixes open-ended exploration with a rhythm-based combat system that's so freaking different I was dumbfounded when I found it. And I love rhythm-based games, so there's that too. You fight using a shamanic drum, timing attacks to the beat while unlocking new powers and building out your abilities. The world is filled with huge bosses, secret paths, and strange characters with their own goals and stories, and progression comes from gaining abilities, collecting bones for your shaman necklace, and finding places of power that strengthen your skills. It's a full Metroidvania under the surface, but the vibe is slower, more mysterious, and more spiritual than most. If you're into weird mechanics, haunting worlds, and something that actually tries a different kind of combat, do yourself a favor and at least try the demo. The full game is out July 29. Now, I said it was going to be weird, and I'm not going to let you down. Number 19 might actually be the craziest of the whole list, and I'm super excited for it. And it's crazy to me that we got Gravity Rush before GTA 6. Metro Gravity drops you into a bizarre liminal space called the Halls, a warped subconscious maze where gravity doesn't play by the rules. After clicking a shady link and filling out a random survey, you end up trapped in this strange world, and the only way out is to face your regrets and get stronger. You unlock powers like a gravity beam and a wall walking to move through disorienting puzzles and shifting architecture. Combat is rhythm-based, with enemies attacking to the beat and your dodges, jumps, and parries syncing up to the music. Even dialogue and ability sounds follow the soundtrack, and there's also a cast of trapped characters to meet, help, and trade with, adding a bit of heart and lore to the weirdness. If you're into Metroidvanias with experimental mechanics, musical combat, and a surreal vibe, this one's definitely worth checking out, and it's been available for a week now. Number 20 is kind of a special one to close the video up, and it's also already available. Adventurous Slime is a short, light-hearted Metroidvania where you play as a tiny blob with a big heart trying to stop an ancient evil. The setup is simple. Lord Old Skull has returned and the witches need help, but there's no legendary hero in sight. So the slime just says, I'll do it. You'll explore 4 colorful biomes, fight 4 bosses, and pick up ancient items to unlock new paths and power-ups. There's no XP grind, just a light leveling system and plenty of optional collectibles, difficulty settings, and even some customization for your little slime. The whole thing leans into the retro vibe, with 8-bit visuals and a chiptune soundtrack that nails the mood. If you want something quick and charming or just a palate cleanser between the heavy hitters, this is a perfect closer. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and if you want to check all the best indie games with the biggest discounts for the Steam Summer Sale, check out our list in the next video. Thanks for watching. So, you found the secret, didn't you? That's how I know you're a Metroidvania addict. I've got a gift for you, because I really wanted to have one of my special picks as a bonus, and I felt true fans would find it and understand why it's so important. It came out June 19, and it's a love letter to the old Castlevania games we know and love. But not only that, narration is actually voiced by Robert Belgrade, the legendary voice of Alucard in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Chronicles of the Wolf wears its Castlevania inspiration on its sleeve, but it doesn't feel like a clone, it feels like a proper spiritual successor. You play as Matteo Lombardo, a beast hunter chasing the legendary creature of Gévaudan across haunted forests, cursed ruins, and sprawling gothic castles. The combat is fast and responsive, the exploration is non-linear, and the world is full of hidden paths, puzzles, and brutal boss fights that demand real timing. You'll talk to locals, gather gear, unlock abilities, and slowly open up one interconnected map packed with secrets and story. The game features voice talent from genre icons, plus guest appearances and a soundtrack composed by veterans of Lord of Shadow and more. If you are craving a classic-style Metroidvania with modern polish and atmosphere, this one's a gift of a game. So thank you for sticking with me until the end, and I hope you have the best summer. See you next time!